Welcome to our channel. We are so glad you found your way here. Let us help you fall asleep. Let's begin with the litter and the veil, the hidden procession of the condemned Roman. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it. Let the noise of today fall away as we step back, not just hours or years, but centuries into the vast theater of crime and punishment in ancient Rome. If you genuinely like our videos, please hit like and subscribe. Legal punishments in ancient Rome were defined by a complex system that reflected the society's values and hierarchies. This framework was not merely punitive, but also served to instill a sense of order and control within the populace. Various forms of punishment were employed, ranging from fines and public humiliation to more severe consequences, such as exile or execution. Methods of execution included crucifixion, a particularly notorious form that publicly displayed the fate of the condemned. These acts were not seen merely as retribution, but as deterrents, reinforcing the power of the state and its laws. The visibility of such punishments ensured that the consequences of crime were apparent to all, maintaining societal norms through fear and adherence. In the case of the condemned, the process often began with a formal trial, presided over by a magistrate. Accusations could arise from a multitude of offenses, including theft, treason, or even political dissent. The legal proceedings were marked by a clear delineation of social status. The elite often received more lenient treatment compared to the lower classes. This stratification underscored a vital aspect of Roman law, the intertwining of justice and social hierarchy. Understanding these legal mechanisms provides insight into the broader implications of condemnation within Roman society, revealing the balance of power and fear that governed daily life. The concept of the litter served various purposes within Roman society, functioning as a means of transport for the elite. This specific conveyance, often adorned with luxurious materials, symbolized status and wealth, distinguishing its occupants from the masses. Crafted from wood and draped in fine fabrics, it provided a comfortable setting for those who commanded respect and authority. This mode of transportation was not merely a vehicle. It represented a broader societal hierarchy, emphasizing the separation between the privileged and the common citizen. Royalty and dignitaries utilized litters during public processions, often accompanied by attendants, emphasizing their elevated position. The sight of such a procession could evoke feelings of reverence and at times, resentment among the populace. In contrast, the condemned individuals faced a far harsher reality. They, too, were transported in litters, albeit under a shroud of shame and disgrace. These conveyances became instruments of humiliation, a stark reminder of their fall from grace. The juxtaposition of opulence and despair within these vehicles reflected the complexities of Roman culture, where dignity and degradation often coexisted. The litter's role within this societal framework underscores the significance of transportation in shaping public perception and individual identity, revealing layers of meaning within the fabric of Roman life. Each journey encapsulated the intricate interplay of power, status, and consequence. The veil held profound significance in Roman culture, often serving as a symbol of transition from the earthly realm to the afterlife. Within the context of death rituals, this fabric represented not only mourning, but also the delicate barrier between the living and the departed. It enveloped the deceased, providing a sense of dignity and respect as they were prepared for their final journey. This region, steeped in tradition, saw the veil employed in various contexts, from funerals to memorials. It was a means of honoring the dead, reflecting societal values surrounding loss and remembrance. The act of draping a veil over the body signified the closing of one chapter and the commencement of another, a rite of passage laden with emotional and spiritual weight. During the ceremonies, participants often wore veils as well, creating a collective atmosphere of grief and reverence. These moments served to reinforce social bonds as the community gathered to navigate the shared experience of loss. The veil, thus, became a poignant reminder of mortality, echoing the fragility of existence. In essence, the veil transcended mere fabric. It encapsulated a cultural understanding of death, bridging the gap between life and the unknown, guiding both the living and the dead through their intertwined destinies. The architecture of the Roman litter reflects a sophisticated blend of design and functionality, crafted primarily from sturdy wood and often adorned with intricate carvings. These structures served both a practical and symbolic role. The proportions were meticulously calculated to accommodate a reclining figure, allowing for a dignified display of the deceased. Pillars provided structural support while creating an elevated platform, emphasizing the importance of the individual within the societal context. Canopies, typically made of textiles, offered shelter from the elements, shielding the body from rain or harsh sunlight. The rich fabrics used in these coverings were chosen not merely for their aesthetic appeal, but also to convey status. These details highlighted the cultural significance placed on the presentation of the dead as they journeyed toward their final resting places. Transported by bearers, the litter required a coordinated effort, reflecting the communal aspect of funerary practices. This method of conveyance was not merely functional. It allowed mourners to accompany the deceased physically and emotionally, reinforcing the connection between the living and the departed. The procession, marked by solemnity, would traverse familiar landscapes, creating a powerful visual narrative that resonated throughout the community. Each element of the litter's design was intentional, underscoring the profound respect afforded to those transitioning into the afterlife. The role of the condemned within this society was complex, influenced heavily by social status and public perception. Individuals facing execution often occupied a liminal space, straddling the boundaries between honor and disgrace. Their lives were scrutinized, their actions dissected by the populace eager to assign blame or garner sympathy. This scrutiny extended to the litter itself, a device both functional and symbolic, reflecting the societal values regarding punishment and redemption. The condemned were often paraded through the streets, their litter serving as a public spectacle. This procession allowed onlookers to witness the consequences of transgression, reaffirming societal norms and expectations. In some instances, the condemned were of noble birth, their fall from grace eliciting a mixture of pity and disdain. The litter, adorned with opulent fabrics and decorations, mirrored their former status, emphasizing the tragedy of their fate. Conversely, those of lower rank faced a different response. Their execution often evoked little more than indifference, the litter stripped of grandeur and dignity. This disparity highlighted the prevailing belief that social standing dictated the worth of an individual, even in death. The ritualistic nature of the procession underscored the collective psyche, revealing a culture steeped in judgment, morality, and the relentless pursuit of order amidst chaos. The duality of public punishment served as both a deterrent and a spectacle, often drawing large crowds that reflected the societal values of the time. This gathering was not merely an act of punishment, but an intricate part of the cultural fabric, reinforcing social hierarchies. Individuals witnessing the procession engaged in an unspoken contract, their presence legitimizing the authority of the state. and its moral code. The condemned, often shrouded in symbols of their transgressions, became the focal point of collective judgment, their fates intertwined with the community's identity. It was within this charged atmosphere that the complexities of human behavior emerged. The thrill of witnessing punishment invoked a mixture of fear and satisfaction as bystanders grappled with their roles as both observers and participants in a ritual of justice. The pathways of these processions were marked by the remnants of past acts, where the echoes of sorrow and defiance lingered in the air. Public spaces transformed, becoming stages for the theater of morality. These moments crystallized the notion of accountability, where the consequences of wrongdoing were laid bare for all to see, fostering a sense of order amidst the chaotic undercurrents of life. The procession, thus, became a mirror reflecting the deeper values and beliefs of a society in constant negotiation with its own principles. This veil of silence enveloped the condemned, creating an atmosphere thick with unspoken judgments. Isolation marked their existence. As society distanced itself from those deemed unworthy, the condemned were often stripped of their identities, reduced to mere labels that defined them solely by their transgressions. In this fragmented reality, the voices of the guilty echoed only in shadows, muffled by the weight of stigma. Surrounding this bleak existence was a landscape that mirrored their plight. Streets, once bustling with life, became an oppressive backdrop, where whispers carried the heavy burden of shame. Individuals avoided eye contact, their gazes cast downward, as if acknowledging the presence of the condemned could tarnish their own virtue. This pervasive silence reinforced a sense of disconnection, leaving those marked by their past trapped in an invisible prison. The ritualistic elements of the procession served to underscore this societal detachment. The somber march was not only a physical journey, but also a representation of the emotional distance cultivated by fear and misunderstanding. Each step taken by the condemned reverberated through the collective consciousness, reminding onlookers of the fragility of their own standing within a rigid moral framework. In this way, the condemned became both a cautionary tale and a catalyst for reflection on the complexities of justice, morality, and human worth. Punishment in ancient Rome evolved significantly over the centuries, transitioning from obscure tribal customs to a sophisticated legal framework. Initially, retribution was often personal, reflecting a society where individual honor dictated response. Communities relied on informal methods, such as fines or public shaming, to address grievances. This informal approach gradually gave way to structured penalties as the population increased and societal norms began to emphasize order and control. Under the Republic, justice became more codified with the establishment of laws that outlined specific penalties for various crimes. This shift marked a turning point as statutes began to reflect the values of Roman society, which prioritized social stability and the protection of property. Punishments became more severe, with methods such as exile and public execution serving as deterrents to maintain order. Throughout the imperial period, the legal system continued to evolve, introducing a distinction between social classes within the justice process. The elite often received more lenient penalties, while the lower classes faced stricter repercussions. This disparity underscored the complexities of power dynamics and the prevailing ideology surrounding citizenship and right. The evolution of punishment mirrored broader societal changes, reflecting the tensions between individual rights and collective good, revealing an intricate historical narrative that shaped Roman identity. In this context, the condemned stood at the intersection of legality and morality, embodying the era's philosophical dilemmas. The weight of societal status dictated who faced condemnation. The elite, often shielded by wealth and influence, could navigate legal entanglements with relative ease. They engaged in political machinations, using connections to secure favorable outcomes, thereby evading the harshest penalties. In stark contrast, the lower classes bore the brunt of societal judgment. Their actions, whether deemed criminal or simply nonconformist, were scrutinized under an unyielding lens. It was not uncommon for the marginalized to be condemned for minor infractions, such as theft driven by necessity or dissent against oppressive norms. Intellectuals, particularly philosophers and critics, often found themselves at odds with the prevailing regime. Their ideas challenged established doctrines, igniting fears of subversion among the powerful. Such dissenting voices were frequently silenced through condemnation, reflecting a society wary of its own foundations. Meanwhile, women faced distinct vulnerabilities, as their roles were often diminished under a patriarchal structure. Accusations of witchcraft or moral failing could lead to swift condemnation, reinforcing the limitations placed on female autonomy. The condemned, regardless of their background, became symbols of societal discontent. Their fates illustrated the fragility of life within this civilization, where social hierarchy dictated not only status, but also survival. This cycle of condemnation perpetuated a climate of fear and compliance, stifling genuine discourse. The judicial system of ancient Rome operated on a complex framework of laws and social expectations. Judges, often drawn from the elite, wielded significant power in passing down sentences. Their decisions were influenced by a myriad of factors, including social status, wealth, and political connections. This environment fostered a sense of arbitrariness, where the outcomes of trials frequently depended on the biases of those in power. The outcomes. In the courtrooms, proceedings were marked by a rigid adherence to formalities. Accusations could arise from a mere whisper, and public sentiment often dictated the course of justice. The accused frequently found themselves stripped of agency, navigating a system designed to uphold the status quo. This region's legal codes, while extensive, offered little recourse for the marginalized, leaving them vulnerable to the whims of their judges. Once a sentence was pronounced, the repercussions unfolded swiftly. Punishments varied, ranging from fines to exile, and in extreme cases, execution. The condemned often faced their fate without the solace of appeal, their pleas fading into silence. The societal implications of these sentences resonated far beyond the individual, serving as a cautionary tale for others. Fear of retribution permeated daily life, reinforcing the boundaries established by the ruling class and ensuring that dissent remained subdued. Execution methods varied significantly, reflecting the prevailing philosophies and societal norms of the time. Crucifixion represented one of the most notorious forms of capital punishment, reserved for those deemed the most dangerous to the status quo. It served not only as a means of execution, but also as a public spectacle designed to instill fear among the populace. Victims were often left to suffer for hours, if not days, their bodies displayed as a grim reminder of the consequences of rebellion. Beheading offered a stark contrast, symbolizing a swifter, yet equally brutal end. This method was typically reserved for Roman citizens or those of higher status, providing them with the dignity of a quick death. The act of decapitation was often executed with precision and efficiency, underscoring the societal hierarchy. It became a ritual, performed by skilled executioners, who understood the implications of their work. These methods were not merely punitive, but were imbued with a complex symbolism that reinforced the power dynamics of the era. Each execution sent ripples through society, serving as a chilling reminder of the consequences of defiance. The lingering scent of fear and the specter of death shaped the daily lives of individuals, ensuring compliance and the continuation of the established order. The Praetorian Guard stood as both protectors and enforcers, their imposing presence a constant reminder of the power concentrated within the heart of the empire. Clad in polished armor, they orchestrated the procession with a disciplined precision, ensuring that the condemned remained visible to the public, yet closely monitored. This dual role reinforced both the authority of the emperor and the fragility of individual freedom. As the condemned marched forward, flanked by the unwavering guard, the air thickened with tension. Each step echoed through the streets, a stark reminder of the consequences of dissent. The guard's unwavering gaze served to intimidate onlookers, discouraging any thoughts of rebellion. Their swords, glinting in the sunlight, symbolized the ultimate sanction that awaited those who dared to disrupt the societal order. In this region, the guard's presence was a calculated effort to maintain control, often overshadowing the humanity of those who faced their fate. The muted murmurs of the crowd contrasted sharply with the resolute silence of the soldiers, creating an atmosphere steeped in dread. The procession unfolded like clockwork, a grim routine that highlighted the delicate balance between power and subjugation. Every movement of the guard reflected the unyielding grip of authority, reinforcing the message that the empire would not tolerate defiance. This interplay between the enforcers and the condemned painted a stark picture of a society teetering on the edge of compliance and fear. The journey of the litter commenced at the stone-carved tribunal, where verdicts were rendered with cold precision, carried by strong hands. It swayed gently, a harbinger of fate. Each jolt echoed the weight of the condemned, who lay ensconced within its confines, shrouded in the silence of resignation. Shadows flickered in the flickering light, casting elongated figures against the marble walkway, remnants of a once vibrant civic life now shadowed by grim reality. The procession moved through bustling streets, where spectators paused in their daily routines. Faces reflected a spectrum of emotions, ranging from indifference to morbid curiosity. The litter glided past the grand structures of power, their facades adorned with the tales of past glories, now silent witnesses to the unfolding tragedy. These ruins whispered memories of glory, contrasting sharply with the fate of the individual within the litter. As the procession neared the execution site, the air thickened with tension, the atmosphere shifted, laden with anticipation and dread. A distant echo of murmurs filled the space, mingling with the rustle of fabric and the soft thud of sandals against the cobblestones. The condemned remained cloaked in darkness, a stark reminder of the consequences of defiance. The journey, marked by watchful eyes, led unerringly towards a conclusion that would resonate through both time and memory. The essence of public spectacle in Roman society served to reinforce the power dynamics inherent in its structure. Gladiatorial contests, grand parades, and theatrical performances captivated the populace, creating a shared experience that bound them together. These events were meticulously orchestrated, drawing immense crowds that filled the vast amphitheaters and forums, their voices echoing against ancient stone. In this environment, the condemned became unwilling participants in a cruel ritual designed to entertain. Their fates were seldom considered. The focus remained on the spectacle itself. The arena transformed into a stage, and the audience, a collective entity, reveled in the drama that unfolded before them. The cheers and jeers of the crowd dictated the rhythm of the event, shaping the experience of both the performers and the condemned alike. Though this system of entertainment served multiple purposes, reinforcing societal hierarchies while simultaneously providing a means of distraction from everyday struggles. It was a tool for the elite, who maintained control through the manipulation of public sentiment. As the condemned faced their fate, the spectators were reminded of their own place within the intricate web of Roman society. The legacy of such spectacles lingers, revealing the ways in which power, control, and public response interweave apart, shaping the very fabric of governance and communal identity in ancient Rome. Final statements uttered by the condemned offer profound insight into their psyche and the societal dynamics at play. These words, often laden with defiance or resignation, serve as a reflection of personal beliefs and the broader cultural ethos. In the moments leading to execution, a spectrum of emotions unfurls, revealing the resilience and vulnerability of the human spirit. Expressions of innocence or pleas for mercy were not uncommon. Such declarations resonated within the hearts of those observing, eliciting a varied spectrum of reactions: empathy, scorn, or indifference. In this charged atmosphere, the condemned became symbols of broader struggles, often voicing grievances against the state or societal injustices. The weight of their final pronouncements lingered in the air, leaving indelible marks on the collective consciousness of the audience. In some instances, these last words were crafted to leave a lasting legacy, a final attempt at shaping public opinion or challenging authority. They served as poignant reminders of mortality, prompting witnesses to confront their own existence and beliefs. The echoes of these statements reverberate through time, illustrating the complex interplay between individual agency and societal expectation. This examination of final words enriches the understanding of ancient Roman values, offering a glimpse into the deep connections that bind the condemned, the spectators, and the societal structures that govern their fates. Religious beliefs permeated the fabric of Roman life, shaping perceptions of death and punishment. The divine was intricately woven into the legal and moral frameworks that dictated societal conduct. Rituals surrounding death reflected a deep reverence for the afterlife, emphasizing the importance of proper burial practices. This region was often seen as pivotal, influencing how the condemned faced their ultimate fate. The presence of gods and goddesses served both as a source of fear and a means of seeking favor. Public executions were not merely punitive but were laden with religious significance. Offerings made to deities were intended to appease them, ensuring a smooth transition for the soul into the afterlife. The condemned would often invoke divine assistance, hoping to influence their posthumous journey. Punishments carried out in the name of justice echoed the moral teachings rooted in religious doctrine, reinforcing societal norms through divine sanction. The concept of divine retribution loomed large, with many believing that the gods actively intervened in human affairs. This belief reinforced the notion that punishment was not only a social necessity, but a cosmic order where transgressions would. Women in the procession of the condemned found themselves in complex roles, navigating a landscape shaped by expectations and societal norms. Often, they served as mourners, their presence marked by somber attire and expressions that conveyed collective grief. This emotional labor was not merely personal. It represented communal solidarity, a shared burden of loss that transcended individual suffering. The visibility of these women highlighted their connection to the condemned, often reflecting familial ties. Mothers, sisters, and daughters participated, their identities intertwined with the fates of those facing punishment. In this region, their voices, though subdued, resonated with unspoken narratives of resilience. They bore witness to the injustices witnessed in the public sphere, reinforcing the societal belief in divine retribution, while simultaneously questioning the morality of such practices. This phenomenon extended beyond mere participation. It became a site for subtle forms of resistance. Through their grief, women could articulate the complexities of justice and mercy, challenging the rigid structures that defined punishment. Their presence in these processions thus acted as a counterpoint to the desolation that surrounded the condemned. It illuminated the multifaceted nature of suffering and the quiet strength found within these familial bonds, subtly shifting the narrative from one solely of punishment to one encompassing resilience and dignity amidst despair. The veil emerges as a significant protective symbol within the spiritual beliefs surrounding the afterlife. It represents a boundary, a thin layer between the living and the spirit world, embodying hope and guidance for the departed. This region of thought reflects a profound understanding of existence beyond mortal confines, suggesting that the soul continues its journey through realms unseen. Communities often constructed elaborate rituals that involved the veil, imbuing it with layers of meaning. They believed that it served not only to shield the deceased from the chaos of the living, but also to facilitate safe passage to an afterlife where peace reigned. The act of veiling transformed grief into a sacred observance, promoting connection between the earthly and the ethereal. In this process, the veil becomes a vessel of protection, offering solace to the bereaved while reaffirming the enduring presence of those lost. Spiritual practices involving the veil often included prayers and offerings, believed to assist the spirit in navigating its new existence. Such customs highlight the resilience of cultural beliefs, illustrating how the veil functions as a bridge between sorrow and hope, intertwining the living with those who have crossed over. This enduring symbol not only encapsulates grief, but also fosters a sense of community among those left behind, emphasizing shared experiences and collective remembrance. The psychological impact on spectators during public executions extends far beyond the immediate event. Observers often experience a complex interplay of emotions, including fear, curiosity, and moral contemplation. This region, steeped in historical significance, served as a crucible for societal values and individual beliefs. Witnessing an execution could evoke a sense of justice being served, reinforcing societal norms against crime and punishment. Simultaneously, the onlookers grappled with the stark reality of mortality. The grim spectacle often prompted reflections on their own lives and moral choices. This confrontation with death can lead to a range of psychological responses, from desensitization to heightened anxiety. For some, the event became a catalyst for introspection, prompting discussions about the nature of justice and the morality of capital punishment. The act of witnessing such brutality also fostered a peculiar camaraderie among spectators. Sharing the experience, albeit a harrowing one, created a bond rooted in collective contemplation. They collectively bore witness to the consequences of transgression, reinforcing societal boundaries. Furthermore, the lingering effects on participants could manifest in various ways, influencing their thoughts and behaviors long after the event concluded. These encounters, marked by a blend of horror and fascination, shaped societal attitudes towards justice, ethics, and the human condition throughout history, leaving an indelible mark on cultural consciousness. The manipulation of language served as a potent tool in the realms of conviction and condemnation. Rhetoric, with its intricate techniques, shaped perceptions and influenced the outcomes of trials. In this environment, the skilled orator wielded words like a blade, dissecting the character of the accused while elevating the moral standing of the accuser. Subtlety and persuasion became essential, as arguments were crafted not only to inform but to evoke emotion. This process was not merely a reflection of legal proceedings, but rather a reflection of societal values. The rhetoric used often mirrored prevailing beliefs about morality, justice, and the inherent worth of individuals. In this context, the condemned faced not just the consequences of their actions, but also the weight of language employed against them. This manipulation could sway public opinion, transforming perceptions of guilt into societal consensus. In the shadows of the courtroom, these dynamics played out with chilling precision. The very fabric of justice became interwoven with rhetoric, as narratives were constructed to serve particular ideologies. As a result, the condemned were often stripped of their humanity, reduced to mere symbols of societal fears or failures. This interplay of language and power has resonated through history, leaving a legacy that continues to influence contemporary discussions on morality and justice. Under So Can See, the exploration of fabrics and textures reveals much about the societal values of ancient Rome. The meticulous craftsmanship evident in materials such as wool, linen, and silk illustrates a culture deeply invested in both aesthetics and utility. Wool, commonly produced locally, was favored for its versatility and warmth. It served as a practical choice for the everyday garments of the populace, while also being transformed into luxurious cloaks for the elite. Linen, derived from flax, offered a lighter alternative, particularly suited for the sweltering summer months. This material was often associated with status, as its production required significant skill and labor. Silk, imported from distant lands along trade routes, marked an era of opulence and sophistication. Its shimmering quality and delicate texture set it apart, making it a symbol of wealth and power. The use of intricate dyes further enhanced the visual splendor of these textiles, with colors derived from natural sources, ranging from vibrant reds to deep blues. These fabrics served not only as clothing, but as markers of identity and social hierarchy. The arrangement and layering of garments reflected the wearer's position within the intricate societal structure. As these materials adorned the bodies of the condemned and the powerful alike, they wove a narrative of existence, perception, and the inexorable passage of time. Music and performance played a crucial role in shaping the atmosphere surrounding these processions. It provided a rhythmic backdrop that echoed through the streets, punctuating the heavy silence with solemnity. Instruments crafted from bronze and wood resonated, creating a tapestry of sounds that accompanied the march of the condemned. The melodies, often somber and reflective, served to heighten both the gravity of the occasion and the collective consciousness of the onlookers. Performer-led chants intertwined with the instrumental tones, invoking the gods and the ancestral spirits. This layering of sound carried a weight of tradition, linking the living with the deceased and reinforcing social hierarchies. Participants dressed in elaborate costumes, embodying various personas from myth and history, have further enriched this experience. Their movements, deliberate and choreographed, conveyed messages of fate and morality, reminding the audience of the societal implications of their own lives. The procession, a complex interplay of sound and movement, invited reflection on mortality and justice. In the shadows of monumental architecture, the ritual unfolded, each note and gesture steeped in significance. Confronted with this display, attendees were drawn into the narrative, contemplating the thin line between power and punishment. This confluence of art and ceremony lingered in the air, Afax Thaisi, marking not just an end, but a profound acknowledgement of human experience. The lingering essence of this acknowledgement extended into the solemn practices surrounding burial for the condemned. In the aftermath of execution, the remnants of life required careful handling, often dictated by the societal perceptions of shame and respect. The bodies, stripped of dignity, were frequently disposed of in a manner that reflected their societal status. In some instances, the use of unmarked graves became a common practice, a silent testament to their fall from grace. This region witnessed the construction of mass graves, where the anonymity of death offered a stark contrast to the notoriety of life. Here, earth became an equalizer, concealing the stories of those who had faced the ultimate penalty. Some were subjected to the indignity of exposure, left in public view as a cautionary emblem for the living core. The harshness of this fate served to reinforce societal norms, reinforcing the boundaries that defined acceptable behavior. Ceremonial aspects, though sparse, avars, occasionally weaved their way into these practices. A few families sought to reclaim dignity through rituals, however subdued, performing rites that sought to soothe the lingering spirit. This dim acknowledgement, amid a broader narrative of rejection, highlighted the complex interplay between societal judgment and the intrinsic human need for closure. Each burial, each grave, became a solitary reminder of a life once lived, now enveloped in the earth's quiet embrace. The legacy of execution significantly influenced the evolution of Roman law, leaving an indelible mark on the judicial system. This practice not only served as a form of punishment, but also as a deterrent, shaping societal norms regarding crime and retribution. Legal codes were established, outlining offenses that warranted capital punishment, reflecting the complexity of human behavior and the need for order within the empire. The ramifications of such laws extended beyond individual cases, creating a framework within which justice could be administered. Trials became a public spectacle, where the consequences of transgressions were laid bare, instilling fear and respect for the law. Such proceedings often included a jury of peers, a concept that would later resonate throughout legal systems worldwide. Public executions transformed into moral lessons, reinforcing the authority of the state and emphasizing the contract between the citizen and the governing body. The very fabric of Roman society was woven around these principles, with the consequences of transgressions echoing through generations. Philosophers and lawmakers debated the ethics of execution, challenging the morality of such finality. In this crucible of thought, the balance between justice and mercy was examined. Art and literature from this era offer profound insights into the lives of the condemned. These expressions serve as reflections on morality, power, and the human condition. Poets and playwrights often portrayed the condemned not merely as victims, but as complex figures steeped in tragedy and resilience. Their narratives evoke a sense of empathy, inviting contemplation on the societal structures that uphold such fates. At the start's fates of Aitiang Dals in sculptural forms, the agony and despair of the condemned are rendered with striking realism. Each contour captures a moment, an emotion, emphasizing both suffering and dignity. These representations challenge the viewer to confront uncomfortable truths about punishment and the fragility of life. Literary texts further explore the psychological dimensions of condemnation. Characters often grapple with existential dilemmas, a fearless, naive mouths, their fates entwined with the moral fabric of society. The rhetoric surrounding their trials reveals the tension between public perception and private agony. This contradiction speaks to the intricate relationship between power and vulnerability. These artistic endeavors underscore the enduring legacy of the condemned in Roman culture. Their stories persist across centuries, reshaping our understanding of justice and humanity. The contemplation of their experiences invites a nuanced discourse on the implications of punishment and the nature of redemption within the fabric of civilization. Risi fiolternum bolduldin ubite risi dicas bellas anisperth semanum. Fremas of turiol dugo dramation, vermas ishenotes toward mortality. Stoicism emphasized the acceptance of fate and the inevitability of death, encouraging individuals to confront their demise with equanimity. In this context, the perception of life transformed into a cycle of virtue and impermanence, rather than a mere sequence of pleasures and pains. Beliefs about the afterlife were intertwined with these Stoic principles. The notion that death was a natural transition rather than an end allowed many to approach their final moments with a sense of tranquility. It fostered a collective understanding that hardships, including the ultimate punishment of execution, were not to be feared but endured with dignity. This acceptance extended beyond individual experiences, influencing societal attitudes toward those condemned. The condemned, rather than being mere figures of pity, became reflections of Stoic ideals. Their final acts were often viewed as opportunities for demonstrating virtue in the face of adversity. In the public arena, these moments were occasions for the demonstration of moral fortitude, reinforcing the values held dear within this ancient civilization. The legacy of Stoicism persists, echoing through the annals of history. It remains a testament to the profound ways in which philosophy can shape collective consciousness, guiding individuals through the complexities of existence and the acceptance of mortality. Anaidi Stacii do, a nation of the male and female condemned individuals reveals stark contrasts deeply embedded within societal structures. Male prisoners often faced harsher conditions, subjected to more brutal forms of punishment, reflecting the prevailing belief in their inherent strength and resilience. This perspective influenced not only their treatment, but also the expectations surrounding their behavior within the confines of punishment. Strength was equated with valor, often leading to a culture that revered endurance over compassion. In contrast, female condemned individuals encountered a different set of challenges. Their treatment frequently stemmed from societal perceptions of femininity, where vulnerability and emotionality were emphasized. This resulted in a more paternalistic approach toward women, often manifesting in leniency or, conversely, in severe moral judgment for transgressions perceived as deviations from accepted gender roles. The duality of mercy and condemnation created a complex dynamic illustrating the societal struggle to reconcile gender expectations with the realities of punishment. These disparities not only highlight the ingrained biases of the era, but also underscore the broader implications of gender dynamics in the justice system. They reflect a system where societal values and beliefs intertwine with the fates of individuals, revealing the intricate ways in which gender informs the experience of punishment and the understanding of guilt. Such dynamics contribute to the evolving narrative of justice and morality. The veil serves as a profound cultural artifact, permeating various civilizations with distinct interpretations and significance. In ancient Egypt, it often symbolized purity and protection, adorning both the living and the deceased. This region's practices highlight a deep reverence for the concept of the afterlife, where veils acted as barriers between the mortal world and the divine. In contrast, the veils of Persia conveyed notions of modesty and social status. Here, they were not merely articles of clothing, but representations of power dynamics within society. The intricate designs and materials used provide insight into the socio-political landscape, illustrating how such garments influenced interpersonal interactions. Among indigenous cultures in North America, the veil may symbolize a connection to ancestral spirits, often used during significant rituals. This connection underscores an understanding of the thin divide between the physical and spiritual realms, emphasizing a cyclical nature of existence where the past continuously informs the present. The differing implications of the veil across cultures reveal a shared human experience, an exploration of identity, status, and spiritual beliefs. Each civilization's interpretation contributes to an overarching narrative that transcends time and geography, illuminating the complexities of human expression and the myriad ways societies articulate their values and beliefs. The lows of family within this procession of the condemned carries significant weight, revealing a duality of support and stigma. Those who have been marked for punishment often find their closest kin grappling with conflicting emotions. This region, where familial ties are forged in both loyalty and shame, highlights the complex dynamics at play. Support emerges as a necessity, a lifeline for individuals facing harsh societal judgment. Families often rally around their members, providing a semblance of comfort amidst the turmoil of public condemnation. Simultaneously, the burden of stigma weighs heavily upon these families. The societal gaze, unforgiving and critical, casts shadows over them, transforming their existence into a perpetual state of scrutiny. Disgraced kin impose a silent burden, evoking isolation and hardship. This tension creates a stark dichotomy. While some families stand resolute in their solidarity, others may distance themselves to escape the taint of shame. In these moments of crisis, whispers fill the air, carrying tales of resilience and despair. The fear of retribution from the community compounds the complexity of familial bonds. The atmosphere thickens with unspoken words, where love intertwines with the fear of social exile. The litter served an essential function in Roman celebrations and festivals, embodying both status and spectacle. Elevated upon poles, it carried figures of immense importance, allowing them to traverse the bustling streets with ease and grandeur. As crowds gathered, the presence of these ornate structures signified an acknowledgement of power and influence, amplifying the celebration's significance. During public festivals, the litter became a focal point, drawing the eyes of onlookers who revered the individuals it transported. It was adorned with elaborate decorations, often reflecting the theme of the event, whether it was a tribute to gods or a celebration of military triumphs. The vibrant colors and intricate designs imbued these processions with an air of festivity, a contrast to the somber undertones that often lingered in the shadows. The procession of the litter echoed the complexities of Roman culture, where public display intertwined with personal ambition. This transport method not only elevated the physical stature of its occupant, but also served as a barometer of societal values. The careful choreography of these public appearances reflected the delicate balance between admiration and scrutiny, revealing layers of expectation that surrounded each celebrated figure. In this way, the litter was not merely a vehicle, it encapsulated the essence of honor, tradition, and the intricate dance of societal roles. The procession transformed the condemned into performers, each moment meticulously crafted for public consumption. This ritualistic display served as both punishment and spectacle, blurring the line between tragedy and entertainment. Adorned in symbolic attire, those bound for execution conveyed a profound narrative through their very presence. The solemnity of their expressions, juxtaposed with the vibrant decorum surrounding them, created an atmosphere charged with tension. Audience reactions played a critical role in this unfolding drama. Whispers traversed the crowd, punctuating the stillness with judgments and conjectures. This interaction imbued the proceedings with a palpable energy as spectators became part of the narrative. The condemned, aware of their role, embraced the theatricality, their movements deliberate, conveying resignation and defiance alike. Each litter, embellished with intricate designs, transformed the condemned into living symbols of fate. The slow procession through the bustling streets rendered them figures of both pity and disdain. In this region, the spectacle deepened societal divides, osmose et refers, reinforcing the distinction between the exalted and the marginalized. The architecture of the environment played a significant role. Towering structures framed the procession, their shadows casting an eerie pallor. This juxtaposition heightened the somberness of the moment, drawing the observer further into the unfolding tableau. The psychological mechanisms of fear in the spectators often manifest as a profound stillness, a collective breath held in anticipation of the inevitable. In this moment, the weight of history bears down heavily, creating an atmosphere thick with unspoken dread. Each individual's gaze reflects a mixture of horror and fascination, a complex interplay of emotions that compels them to witness the grim tableau before them. Responses to such scenes can vary significantly, from visceral revulsion to a chilling curiosity. The mind grapples with the moral implications of the condemned, each face a haunting reminder of mortality and the fragility of existence. This region, steeped in tales of suffering and consequence, serves as both a specter of justice and a mirror to the darker impulses that dwell within humanity. These reactions are not confined to mere observers. The very air hums with tension, as if the collective consciousness of the crowd pulsates with shared anxiety. Anxiety can ripple through the assembled throng, intertwining with the fabric of the moment, creating a communal experience that transcends individual thought. The architecture of their surroundings looms large, amplifying feelings of vulnerability and entrapment, reinforcing the notion that they too are participants in this unfolding story. Avori Baroshans as a furti mention fear, the spectators become entwined with the fate of the condemned. Public executions once served as a grim spectacle, drawing crowds that reveled in a shared experience of justice. This ritualistic display acted as both deterrent and entertainment, casting a shadow over the societal fabric. Over time, the collective gaze began to shift. A change emerged, signifying a transition towards more private forms of punishment.
This evolution reflected a growing awareness of human dignity, even among the guilty, fostering an unsettling silence around the consequences of transgressions. The condemned now faced an isolating fate, often hidden from the public eye, confined within the stark walls of prisons that echoed with the remnants of anguish. These structures, once symbols of authority, transformed into intimate chambers of despair. They housed individuals stripped of their identity, their stories reduced to mere case files. The absence of spectators altered the narrative, emphasizing not the active punishment, but the solitary confinement experienced by those condemned. In this environment, the fading company of the outside world exacerbates their isolation, creating a profound sense of alienation. Each moment spent in these desolate quarters deepens the understanding of consequences, shifting focus from the spectacle of death to the quiet suffering of the human spirit. The transition marks a significant shift in societal values, offering a complex reflection on justice and humanity. Urbanization has profoundly influenced execution practices within the Roman Empire. The concentration of populations in urban centers led to a re-evaluation of punitive measures, transitioning from secluded executions to public spectacles. It became common for the condemned to face their fate in forum squares, where crowds gathered, drawn by curiosity and morbid fascination. This shift transformed the act into a communal experience, allowing citizens to witness the consequences of law and order firsthand. Public executions served multiple purposes, functioning not only as a deterrent but also as a means of reinforcing state power. The spectacle emphasized the authority of Rome, showcasing the might of its legal system. This regional dynamic disrupted traditional notions of justice, intertwining punishment with entertainment. The presence of large crowds often led to chaotic events, occasionally spiraling into riots or protests against perceived injustices. Simultaneously, the urban environment introduced logistical challenges. The requirements for security and management of large groups necessitated a more structured approach to executions. Executioners became essential figures, often operating under the scrutiny of local magistrates. Their roles evolved as they navigated the complexities of urban life, balancing the expectations of both the state and the populace. Consequently, urbanization not only reshaped the physical spaces of punishment, but also altered the cultural perceptions surrounding capital punishment, embedding it within the fabric of public life. Slaves occupied a crucial position within the judicial process, serving as both facilitators and victims of the legal system. Their presence underscored the stark inequalities that defined Roman society, where freedom and servitude intersected in complex ways. These individuals often acted as informants, providing testimony that could sway the outcomes of trials. Such contributions were vital in a system that relied heavily on public perception and the moral standing of the accused. In courtrooms, their voices carried weight, yet their status as property rendered them vulnerable to manipulation. The outcomes of their testimonies could lead to severe ramifications, not only for the accused but also for themselves. Punitive measures could befall them should their words be questioned or deemed unreliable. The fear of retribution loomed large, creating an atmosphere where truth was often obscured by the specter of power dynamics. The implications of their involvement extended beyond the confines of legal matters. The treatment of slaves within these proceedings reflected broader societal attitudes toward justice and humanity. The public's response to their roles in the judicial landscape revealed a complex relationship with morality and the law. Even as they were subjugated, the actions and fates of these individuals contributed to the ongoing dialogue surrounding justice, punishment, and the human condition in ancient Rome. Acts of defiance emerged within this oppressive environment, showcasing a profound human spirit resistant to subjugation. Individuals turned to various means of rebellion, from organized uprisings to subtle forms of dissent. These acts were often meticulously planned, with the intentions of reclaiming agency and challenging the authority that sought to control their destinies. In some instances, conspiracies brewed in the shadows, igniting movements that threatened the very foundations of this imposed order. Leaders emerged, charismatic figures who inspired their fellow citizens through shared grievances and aspirations for freedom. The whispers of rebellion often melded with the ambient noise of the streets, echoing hopes that resonated among the downtrodden. Other expressions of resistance manifested in everyday life. Individuals employed cunning subterfuge, using deception as a tool to evade capture, while others sought to undermine the very structures of power that condemned them. The writings of dissenters, often hidden from the eyes of the ruling class, provided a glimpse into the inner turmoil and aspirations for liberation. These acts of rebellion, though sometimes met with brutal reprisals, highlighted the complexities of the human spirit in the face of oppression. As history unfolded, the narratives of these rebels interwove with the broader story of ancient Rome, leaving an indelible mark upon its legacy. The duality of the veil emerges as both a protective barrier and a source of isolation, shaping the experience of those condemned. In this region, it serves to shield the vulnerable from the harsh realities of existence, offering a sense of safety amidst chaos. The fabric, crafted meticulously, protects the condemned from the prying eyes of society, cloaking them in anonymity.
Make for nice space for service, allowing them to navigate through the whispers and judgment of the populace without being fully exposed. Minst tu's vost to first or, minst ordavad zei tu orders mingstra. Mail diariud, view frisidri while simultaneously, bangs and prisoner flow steedri psalms. While it shelters, and she also isolates, severing connections to the outside world. Bonds with family and friends dissolve behind its folds, leaving individuals to grapple with solitude. The veil transforms into a symbol of their marginalization, a reminder of their status as outcasts. On four frieze nouns of the past echo the emotional weight carried by the condemned of our who wander through their days enveloped in the fabric of their fate. The dichotomy inherent in this protective covering reflects the complexities of human existence. Lives are not merely defined by their circumstances, they are shaped by the interplay of safety and seclusion. This exploration of the veil's nature reveals a profound commentary on the human condition, as those marginalized by history seek solace in a world that often forgets them. The influence of Greek philosophy permeated Roman thought, shaping attitudes toward punishment and justice. Stoicism, with its emphasis on rationality and virtue, encouraged a view of punishment as a means for moral improvement rather than mere retribution. This perspective provided a framework for understanding the consequences of actions within a broader philosophical context. Philosophers like Seneca articulated that punishment should serve to rehabilitate the individual, allowing for reflection and growth. Cynicism also played a role, challenging societal norms and the authority of the state. It emphasized self-sufficiency and questioned the moral implications of punitive measures. This critique influenced the ways in which punishment was perceived, fostering a dialogue around its ethical dimensions. The public execution of those condemned, often viewed as spectacles, reflected the tension between the pursuit of justice and the desire for social control. The duality of punishment emerged. It acted both as a deterrent for the populace and a stark reminder of the fragility of social order. The condemned, stripped of status and dignity, became emblematic of the consequences of transgression. Within these ruins of societal structure, echoes of philosophical inquiry linger, inviting reflection on the essence of justice and the human experience. Such considerations remain relevant, resonating through the forgotten corridors of history. The legal terminology surrounding the litter in Roman law texts unveils a structured society where status dictated the mode of transport. This mode was synonymous with power, often reserved for dignitaries and the elite. The specific terms employed reflect deeper implications regarding mobility and privilege. The very act of being carried signified an individual's rank, with the litter serving as both a conveyance and a symbol of authority. In these texts, references to the litter often encompass discussions of rights and obligations. The laws surrounding its use delineated who could occupy such a vehicle, embedding notions of exclusivity within the social fabric. This regulation not only highlighted the disparity between classes, but also established a clear connection between physical movement and legal standing. Legal scholars frequently examined these implications, interpreting the litter as an artifact of social stratification. It was not merely a functional object, but also a manifestation of the values and hierarchy inherent in Roman culture. The implications of such transport extended into various facets of life, influencing public appearance and personal interactions. Within these legal frameworks, the litter emerged as a focal point, revealing the intricacies of Roman jurisprudence. The meticulous documentation in legal texts served to preserve the understanding of this societal cornerstone, ensuring its relevance in both ancient and modern contexts, reflecting ongoing conversations about mobility and status. The role of lawyers in this intricate web of societal norms emerged as a critical element within the judicial system of ancient Rome. These individuals, often educated and skilled in rhetoric, navigated the complex landscape of law with precision. They served as defenders for those marked by condemnation, advocating for the rights of the accused within the constraints of societal expectations. It was not merely a profession, it embodied a moral obligation to ensure that justice, as defined by prevailing norms, was upheld. Beneath the shadow of the courts, the condemned found a voice through their advocates. These defenders meticulously crafted arguments, drawing upon precedents and legal statutes to argue for clemency or reconsideration. The stakes were high, as the outcomes could determine not just the fate of an individual, but also the broader implications for social order. Each case illuminated the tension between personal agency and systemic limitations, as societal perceptions of status and morality often dictated outcomes. The process was not solely procedural, it encapsulated the human experience. The condemned, stripped of their rights and dignity, relied on their defenders to navigate the labyrinthine legal structures. Advocacy became a lifeline, a fragile connection to the human experience amid the cold mechanics of law. The interplay between the condemned and their lawyers reflects a timeless struggle for recognition and humanity within the confines of societal judgment. Memory weaves itself into the fabric of history, shaping perceptions of those fallen from grace. The stories of the condemned linger in the collective consciousness, often overshadowed by the weight of their actions. This region of remembrance is occupied by fragmented narratives and selective recollections, where each account offers a glimpse into the complexities of their lives. These individuals, once vibrant in their existence, now exist as shadows within the annals of time. Their legacies intertwined with the moral fabric of society. Historical accounts tend to focus on the transgressions, emphasizing the circumstances that led to their downfall. Yet, the nuances of their humanity often fade, obscured by the veil of condemnation. This phenomenon leaves behind a collection of artifacts, documents, and testimonies that serve as both a reminder and a cautionary tale. The echoes of their struggles resonate through the ages, prompting reflection on the nature of justice and redemption. In the quiet corners of archives and libraries, these remnants whisper truths that challenge the binary of villain and victim. They invite contemplation on how society navigates memory, influencing the narratives constructed around the condemned. In this ongoing dialogue, the fallen are both judged and remembered, their stories becoming part of a larger exploration of morality and consequence. As time progresses, the discourse around these figures remains fluid, continuously shaped by evolving perspectives. The veil serves as a potent instrument for shaping public perception, obscuring truth and reality beneath layers of curated narratives. This technique enables those in power to manipulate information, guiding the thoughts and beliefs of the populace. By presenting selective truths, it creates an illusion of consensus, often leading individuals to adopt views that align with the interests of the few rather than the realities experienced by the many. In this context, the control of public opinion becomes a strategic endeavor. It hinges upon the careful crafting of messages designed to resonate emotionally, while simultaneously sidelining critical analysis. This region, dominated by rhetoric and imagery, often cultivates a climate where dissent is stifled and alternative viewpoints marginalized. The veil's influence is not merely confined to ancient Rome. Its echoes resonate through history, manifesting in various forms of governance and societal structures. Mechanisms such as propaganda and censorship emerge as extensions of this concept, reinforcing the power dynamics that dictate what is deemed acceptable discourse. Consequently, the societal framework shifts, allowing those wielding the veil to dictate narratives that shape collective memory. Such dynamics illustrate the profound implications of manipulated perception, emphasizing the need for vigilance in discerning fact from fabrication. The legacy of this manipulation continues to unfold, reflecting the interplay of power and belief throughout human history. The spectacle of suffering manifests profoundly in the annals of human experience, revealing the depths of pain and the capacity for empathy. This phenomenon is often observed in the remnants of ancient civilizations, where the portrayal of anguish serves as both a cautionary tale and a means of connection. In the ruins of former strongholds, the echoes of lamentation linger, steeped in the memories of those who faced persecution and despair. Artistic expressions found in these sites often depict the condemned of, their visages etched with torment and resignation. Each representation offers insight into the societal values and collective psyche of the time. They invite contemplation on the nature of suffering, transcending mere documentation to evoke a profound emotional response. The ability to articulate pain through various mediums, be it sculpture, fresco, or narrative, bridges the chasm between the past and present. Within this context, empathy emerges as a vital human response. It fosters understanding, allowing contemporary observers to connect with the experiences of those who lived millennia ago. In this region, where sorrow is captured in stone and pigment, the weight of history becomes palpable. The remnants of emotional resonance remind us that suffering is a shared aspect of existence, weaving through cultures and epochs, binding humanity together in its fragility. The distinction between wealth and poverty often defined the nature of punishment within ancient societies. In this region, the affluent could afford to evade the harshest consequences of their actions, while the destitute faced the full brunt of the law. The execution sites, stark and unforgiving, served as grim reminders of this disparity. Those of higher status might find their fates determined by political maneuvering or bribery, their lives spared or mitigated through favor and influence. This inequity reverberates through time. The condemned, often drawn from the lower classes, faced the chilling reality of public executions. Their demise was not merely a conclusion but a spectacle, played out in front of a crowd that gathered to witness the grim theater of justice. The events unfolded under the weight of societal expectations, where the powerful maintained their status through the observance of punishment meted upon the less fortunate. The architecture surrounding these sites reveals the intentions of those in power. Elaborate structures contrasted sharply with the simplicity of the condemned's final moments. The wealth of the elite was etched into the very stones, while the echoes of despair lingered in the air, a haunting reminder of the stark divide in this complex interplay. The true nature of authority and vulnerability emerges, illustrating a chilling reflection of humanity's ongoing struggle with justice and morality. Informants occupy a unique position within the judicial process, acting as conduits of information that can alter the fates of individuals. Their presence often reveals the intricate web of alliances and betrayals that characterize the legal landscape. These individuals offer insights that can either uphold or dismantle the established order, depending on their motivations and allegiances.
This duality of purpose underscores the moral ambiguity that permeates the system. In many cases, informants operate under the veil of anonymity, safeguarding their identities while navigating the treacherous paths of power and influence. Their contributions can lead to the exposure of corruption or the unmasking of criminal enterprises. Yet they also risk becoming pawns in a larger game of manipulation. Trust becomes a scarce commodity, as the potential for betrayal looms over every interaction. The role of these informants often invites scrutiny, raising questions about the ethics of their involvement. Are they heroes seeking justice, or are they driven by self-preservation? The judicial process becomes a reflection of societal values, as the repercussions of their testimonies ripple through the lives entwined in these narratives. This delicate balance between truth and deception remains pivotal in understanding the mechanisms that govern justice and the fragile nature of trust within this realm. Justice and injustice permeate Roman literature, reflecting the complexities of societal values and moral dilemmas. Characters often navigate a landscape riddled with betrayal, corruption, and the consequences of their choices. This period's works frequently explore the role of fate, suggesting that external forces shape the lives of individuals, rendering their struggles both tragic and poignant. In narratives, the pursuit of justice is frequently depicted as a relentless endeavor. Heroes and heroines grapple with the limitations of their societies while seeking retribution or vindication. It serves as a reminder of the inherent tension between personal integrity and the legal frameworks that govern behavior. Contrastingly, injustice manifests through the misuse of power, where those in authority exploit the vulnerable. This dynamic reveals the often arbitrary nature of societal rules, where the scales of justice can tilt precariously. The portrayal of characters facing wrongful punishment or societal scorn highlights the profound emotional and psychological toll of such experiences. Amidst these themes, the concept of moral ambiguity emerges, challenging the notion of absolute right and wrong. The narratives compel readers to ponder the complexities of human nature, the motivations behind actions, and the intricate web of consequences that follow. Such reflections remain relevant, inviting contemplation of justice in contemporary contexts.
The route taken by the condemned traversed key sectors of the city, each location steeped in history and significance. Streets lined with ancient stone bore witness to the solemn procession, while public squares served as the backdrop for both sorrow and spectacle. This journey was not merely a physical traversal, but a reflection of societal values and the hierarchy of power. The path began at the Forum, a central hub of political life. It symbolized the intersection of justice and public opinion, where citizens gathered to witness the fate of those deemed guilty. From there, it wound through narrow alleyways, their shadows cloaking the onlookers, creating an atmosphere of hushed anticipation. These spaces, often overlooked, contributed to the overall gravity of the event. A ways the procession continued, it approached the Colosseum, an imposing structure echoing with the cries of an audience eager for entertainment. The juxtaposition of punishment and spectacle encapsulated the Roman ethos, where the condemned became both a warning and a form of entertainment. Emerging from the labyrinthine streets, the final approach led to the execution grounds, a site marked by both finality and reflection. This geographic analysis reveals the calculated intent behind the chosen route, designed to evoke both fear and a sense of communal participation in the acts of justice and retribution. The influence of propaganda in shaping public perception cannot be understated. Through carefully curated messages and imagery, it crafted a narrative that glorified the notion of justice while simultaneously vilifying dissent. Visual representations of the condemned paraded through urban centers served to reinforce the ruling authorities' grip on societal norms. These displays were not merely punitive, they were instruments of psychological manipulation. The language surrounding these events often portrayed the condemned as threats to the communal fabric, reinforcing the belief that their punishment served a greater good. This strategic framing ensured that the population remained engaged in the spectacle, fostering a collective identity rooted in shared values of order and discipline. The repeated exposure to these images and themes cultivated a normalized acceptance of violence as a necessary means of maintaining stability. In this region, the architecture and public spaces played an integral role in this process. Grand structures framed the rituals, elevating their significance and embedding them into the collective memory. The positioning of these events manipulated the urban landscape, transforming mere streets into corridors of power and control. As the populace absorbed these narratives, the boundaries of morality shifted. The very act of witnessing became a form of complicity, binding individuals to a system that demanded allegiance and participation, solidifying the authorities' dominion over societal consciousness. This transformation in societal consciousness led to significant changes in execution practices throughout Rome. With the rise of Christianity, a new moral framework emerged, one that fundamentally challenged the existing philosophies surrounding punishment and retribution. The emphasis shifted away from public displays of violence, which had previously served to reinforce state power and deter dissent. Instead, the Christian doctrine advocated for forgiveness and redemption, fundamentally altering the approach to capital punishment. It became increasingly common for execution methods to be shrouded in secrecy, reflecting a growing discomfort with the brutality of public spectacles. This region, once filled with the echoes of suffering, now witnessed a gradual retreat into darkness. The condemned often faced death in isolation, their fates determined behind closed doors, away from the prying eyes of the populace. The juxtaposition of the fading ideology of punishment with the emerging tenets of mercy created a complex atmosphere of tension. While the state retained its power to execute, the societal acceptance of such actions began to erode. The Christianization process instigated an introspective examination of justice, intertwining spiritual beliefs with legal practices. This transformation not only redefined the fate of individuals, but also reshaped the very fabric of Roman society, leading to a profound reassessment of what it meant to be condemned. The veil served multiple functions within the rituals surrounding condemnation. It acted as a barrier between the condemned and the rest of society, isolating individuals as they transitioned from life to death. This separation allowed for introspection, a moment of quiet contemplation before their final journey. The fabric, often dark and heavy, symbolized the weight of their sins and the gravity of their impending fate. When, in religious ceremonies, the veil also represented the unknown, a threshold to be crossed. Priests utilized it to invoke a sense of mystery, heightening the solemnity of the occasion. It was essential in conveying the invisible forces at play in the universe, bridging the physical realm and the spiritual. Additionally, the veil played a significant role in the collective memory of the society. It became a symbol of justice, of arces as osses and the deis, a reminder of the consequences of transgression. As individuals witnessed the procession, the veil encapsulated not only the condemned but also the values and norms of the community. It served to reinforce societal boundaries, reminding the onlookers of the fragility of their own status. In this manner, the veil transformed into an enduring artifact, encapsulating the complexities of punishment, redemption, and the human condition. Through its presence, it solidified the intersection of personal tragedy and collective identity within the ancient Roman world. Pronessus and representations of the condemned featured prominently within Roman comedy, reflecting societal attitudes toward punishment and disgrace. Characters often embodied the absurdity of their fates, highlighting the tension between personal misfortune and public spectacle. These portrayals served not only to entertain but also to critique the prevailing moral and social order, exposing the hypocrisy within the very institutions that meted out justice. Shown in comedic narratives, the condemned became caricatures, exaggerated figures that elicited laughter while simultaneously invoking sympathy. Their trials and tribulations were not merely for amusement. They functioned as a mirror to societal values, revealing how the populace viewed virtue, vice, and the fragility of status. This region of performance art was rich with irony, as the audience was invited to laugh at the misfortunes of these characters, often reflecting their own fears of social failure. The recurring motifs within these works unveiled layers of complexity in the interpretation of punishment. It was not solely an act of retribution but also a means of social commentary. The condemned, stripped of dignity, were transformed into symbols of the vulnerabilities that bound human experience. In this way, the laughter inspired by their plight often served to reinforce the very societal structures they critiqued, ensuring that their stories remained woven into the cultural fabric of ancient Rome. Each condemned individual found themselves confronting a profound psychological burden during their procession through the streets of ancient Rome. The weight of public scrutiny loomed large, an invisible yet omnipresent force, shaping their thoughts and emotions. Stripped of dignity, they endured the stares and jeers of passers-by, often feeling as though they were objects of ridicule rather than human beings. This relentless exposure fostered a sense of profound isolation, amplifying their feelings of shame and despair. The experience of degradation unfolded in layers. For many, the anticipation of their fate was almost as torturous as the execution itself, manifesting in debilitating anxiety. Each step taken on the path to their inevitable end served as a constant reminder of their societal rejection.
The cacophony of mocking voices created an echo chamber of self-doubt, transforming the condemned into living embodiments of their failures. Such psychological turmoil did not simply vanish with death. It lingered in the collective memory of the witnesses. This region of human experience became a haunting reflection of societal values, revealing the darker facets of a civilization that thrived on spectacle. Within these ruins of dignity, the remnants of their emotions echoed across time, a Dwatha, illustrating the enduring impact of public humiliation on both individual psyches and the fabric of Roman culture. The litter, a conveyance of both status and despair, carried its occupants through the streets, a silent witness to their fall from grace. Each ascent and descent reflected a life once filled with power, now reduced to a journey marked by shame. As it traversed the uneven cobblestones, whispers of the past mingled with the dust, reminding all of the fleeting nature of honor and influence. Those within the litter, once adorned with the symbols of authority, faced the gaze of the populace, the eyes of the crowd. A mixture of pity and disdain bore witness to a transformation that transcended physical status. With each passing moment, the dignity of the individual crumbled, overshadowed by the weight of collective judgment. The litter became an emblem of mortality, a reminder that all achievements could be undone by a single misstep. Wie steh's, this procession, devoid of grandeur, echoed the fragility of power. It traversed the city's arteries, revealing the stark contrast between the heights of privilege and the depths of disgrace. Each stop along the route was marked by murmurs, the atmosphere thick with unspoken thoughts of those who had once reveled in their own triumphs. The litter's journey from life to death encapsulated a profound truth, illustrating how society's memories are shaped by moments of vulnerability and loss. The role of oratory within this context emerges as a critical element, serving as both a tool for persuasion and a reflection of societal values. Orators, often skilled in the art of rhetoric, would stand before the assembled crowds, their voices rising and falling like the undulations of the landscape. Such eloquence carried the weight of desperate pleas, echoing through the hearts of listeners who held the power to influence fate. These moments of oratory were steeped in urgency, as the condemned sought mercy in the face of impending execution. It was not merely a request for reprieve, but a complex interplay of emotion, logic, and cultural significance. The words chosen were deliberate, crafted to evoke empathy and compassion from those in power. This practice underscored the intricate relationship between language and justice. The orator's ability to articulate the human condition reflected a societal acknowledgement of frailty and the potential for redemption. Those gathered would feel the tension in the air, a palpable connection to the condemned person's plight, their narratives weaving through the crowd like threads in a fabric of shared humanity. In these moments, the power of words transcended their mere sounds, capturing the essence of life itself and the desire for second chances, even in the shadow of mortality. The veil served as a potent symbol of social control, subtly dictating behavior and reinforcing conformity within the Roman populace. This construct guided individuals to adhere to societal norms, shaping their identities and interactions. The unobtrusive presence of the veil could silence dissent, its fabric woven into the very fabric of daily life, directing thoughts and actions toward a collective narrative. In this region, conformity was paramount, creating an environment where individual expression often became secondary to the expectations of the state. The veil ensured that deviation from the prescribed path was met with scrutiny, stifling the emergence of a diverse array of perspectives.
Its omnipresence instilled a sense of fear, a quiet reminder that those who challenged the established order risked ostracization or worse. Through the veil, the ruling class maintained a firm grip on the populace, ensuring that loyalty to the empire was an unspoken obligation. Compliance was not merely encouraged, it was woven into the very identity of the citizens. This quiet enforcement manifested in the daily routines of individuals, shaping their thoughts and beliefs until they became indistinguishable from the ideals imposed upon them. In this manner, the veil emerged as a chilling reminder of the fragility of freedom within a structured society, where the consequences of non-conformity lingered just beyond the folds of acceptance. The expansion of Rome brought with it a stark evolution in execution practices, reflecting the empire's growing influence over vast territories. This progression was not merely a matter of governance, it represented the imposition of Roman ideologies and methods upon diverse cultures. The introduction of new laws and procedures often led to a more systematic approach to punishment, leaving little room for local customs. In conquered regions, the enforcement of Roman law became a powerful tool for maintaining control, transforming execution from a sporadic act of retribution into a calculated mechanism of deterrence. This shift was marked by the establishment of public executions, designed not only to eliminate dissent but also to serve as a vivid display of the state authority. Crowds gathered to witness these events, reinforcing the belief that compliance was paramount for survival within the empire. The processes surrounding execution became standardized, emphasizing efficiency and spectacle. Various methods, ranging from crucifixion to decapitation, were employed, with each serving a specific purpose in exemplifying the might of Roman rule. The chilling efficiency of these practices echoed through the streets, instilling a pervasive fear among the populace. With each execution, the veil thickened, obscuring the delicate balance between obedience and rebellion in the hearts of the condemned, and further entrenching the ideals of an empire that demanded absolute loyalty. The Senate emerged as a pivotal force in the judicial process, wielding authority over the decrees that shaped the fates of the condemned. Legislative discussions often transpired in the grand halls, where the echoes of deliberation reverberated through marble corridors. Senators deliberated, weighing the merits of loyalty against the specter of treason. Their decisions, shrouded in formality, reflected a meticulous adherence to the laws that governed the empire. Yet this adherence masked the underlying currents of political maneuvering. With each sentence spoken, the gravity of the Senate's influence permeated the atmosphere, casting shadows over the judicial proceedings. The collective judgment of these elites dictated not only the lives of individuals, but also the cultural landscape of the populace. It was within these walls that the fate of many was sealed, where the impassioned pleas of the accused often fell silent amidst the calculated rhetoric of the powerful. As the Roman legal system evolved, the balance shifted subtly. Political alliances formed and fractured, altering the trajectory of countless lives. In this realm of power, the senators frequently sought to bolster their own status through strategic decisions, intertwining personal ambition with the machinery of justice. Each verdict, a reflection of their aspirations, deepened the veil, obscuring the true motivations that governed the empire's relentless pursuit of order. The condemned emerged as cultural symbols, their fates intricately woven into the fabric of Roman identity. Each individual, marked by their transgressions, contributed to a collective narrative that reinforced societal values and norms. This region, where justice and punishment intersected, allowed the populace to grapple with notions of virtue and vice. The consequences faced by these individuals served as cautionary tales, reinforcing conformity while simultaneously igniting the latent fires of rebellion. The public spectacles that followed their sentencing transformed them into reluctant icons, embodying the empire's duality of pride and fear. These moments offered an unsettling glimpse into the fragility of status, revealing how swiftly fortune could turn. Individuals who once wore the laurel of success now found themselves stripped of dignity, paraded before the masses. The spectators, drawn into the drama, became complicit in the process, their cheers and jeers shaping the discourse around morality and power. As the empire expanded, the significance of these figures grew, reflecting the complexities of cultural integration. They became vessels for examining identity, often prompting discussions about the nature of citizenship and the responsibilities it entailed. The condemned thus transcended their roles as mere victims of the legal system, instead transforming into pivotal elements of a broader conversation about what it meant to belong in an ever-evolving society. Visual arts served as a crucial medium for documenting executions, capturing the somber realities of these events. Paintings, engravings, and later photographs presented stark representations of the condemned, offering audiences a glimpse into the gravity of their fate. Artists employed precise techniques to convey not only the physicality of the executions, but also the emotional weight carried by both the condemned and the spectators. Intricate details conveyed the tension in the air, the expressions of onlookers, and the solemnity of the setting. These works often reflected societal attitudes toward punishment, morality, and justice, acting as a mirror to the prevailing cultural narratives of the time. In this region, the visual arts did not shy away from the gruesome aspects of executions. Rather, they embraced the rawness, presenting it with a clinical eye, often provoking contemplation about the nature of humanity and the judicial system. With each stroke of the brush or click of the camera, they documented the human condition, interweaving individual stories with broader societal themes. This artistic approach transcended mere documentation. It became a means of engaging with complex moral questions. The resulting creations invite reflection on belonging, justice, and the often harrowing intersection of life and death within the fabric of society. These representations continue to inform contemporary discussions surrounding the ethics of punishment and its visual legacy. The daily existence of those condemned before execution reflected a stark reality, marked by an atmosphere of both resignation and fleeting moments of hope. Within the confines of their cells, time stretched, measured by the rhythmic sounds of distant footsteps and the occasional murmur of guards. Each hour brought a mix of contemplation and dread, as the finality of fate loomed heavily over them. Interactions with fellow prisoners varied, oscillating between camaraderie and isolation. Shared stories and whispered fears created a fragile bond, while others succumbed to despair, retreating into the shadows of their minds. Simple acts, such as sharing a meager meal or exchanging glances, often provided a temporary reprieve from the weight of impending doom. The environment of confinement contributed to a complex psychological landscape. The cold walls echoed with the sounds of their thoughts, a constant reminder of the gravity of their situation. Some sought solace in religious practices, clinging to faith as a means of coping with their destinies. Others turned to philosophical reflections, pondering the nature of justice and the human condition. As the days progressed, each individual grappled with their own narrative, marked by both the regrets of past choices and the haunting specter of what lay ahead. This final chapter of their lives unfolded in an atmosphere of stark reality, shaped by a blend of humanity and the inexorable march toward judgment. The veil, a poignant symbol of mourning, served as a physical manifestation of grief within this society. Crafted from delicate fabrics, it enveloped the faces of those left behind, creating a barrier between the living and the departed. This ritualistic garment offered a means to express sorrow, allowing individuals to navigate their pain while still enshrined in the customs of their community. Mourning practices were deeply embedded in the cultural fabric, intertwining with the rituals surrounding death. The act of veiling signified not only personal loss but also communal empathy, drawing together a collective in their shared bereavement. Within this context, the veil became an essential element of the procession, a visual testament to the bond between the mourners and the condemned. In this region, the significance of the veil extended beyond mere fabric. It evoked a sense of reverence for the lost, transforming grief into a ritualistic observance. Those adorned in veils were often perceived as sacred participants in a somber ceremony, marking their journey alongside the condemned. As the procession moved forward, the fluttering veils captured the essence of mourning, their ethereal presence enhancing the atmosphere. Shadows played on the ground, intertwining with the memories of those who had passed, creating a poignant connection between the visible and the invisible. Each step echoed with the weight of remembrance, infusing the landscape with a lingering sense of loss. The significance of authority within this context emerges prominently through the figure of the emperor. Central to the execution process, their decisions dictated not only the fates of individuals, but also the moral fabric of society. Each command issued carried the weight of law, embodying both power and the fragility of human life. The emperor's presence loomed large, symbolizing a duality of protector and executioner, reflecting the complex relationship between governance and justice. The rituals surrounding execution served to reinforce this authority. These events were meticulously orchestrated, transforming the act of capital punishment into a public spectacle. The assembly of citizens gathered in anticipation, bearing witness to the power dynamics at play. The emperor, enveloped in ceremonial regalia, positioned atop a platform, commanded the scene with an air of unyielding dominance. Consequently, the condemned became figures of both pity and fear, their fate sealed by imperial decree. The gravity of the moment was palpable, as each life extinguished was a testament to the vast chasm between the ruler and the ruled. The spectator's gaze fixated on the execution, an act that unmasked the stark reality of their existence. This region, steeped in history, now resonates with echoes of authority, power, and the inexorable passage of time, preserving the narratives of those who were lost to the emperor's will. Public reactions during this era reveal a complex interplay of fear, admiration, and quiet acceptance. Contemporary accounts illustrate a populace caught between reverence for the emperor's might and an underlying dread of the consequences of dissent. These chronicles emphasize the dual nature of public sentiment. While some hailed the authority as a symbol of stability and grandeur, others viewed it as an oppressive force, one that shaped their existence through relentless control. The citizens often gathered to witness the procession, their faces a mixture of awe and trepidation. Observations from that time indicate a palpable tension in the air, as individuals grappled with the implications of their surroundings. Whispers of dissent occasionally punctuated the gatherings, underscoring the fragility of their situation. Accounts frequently depict crowds both cheering and murmuring, an expression of conflicting emotions. Descriptions of the condemned reveal a chilling reality. They moved through the streets with a solemnity that contrasted sharply against the vibrant backdrop of the city. These individuals, stripped of their former identities, became symbols of the state's unyielding grip. The reactions highlighted a society in flux, navigating the delicate balance between survival and expression. In this landscape, the echoes of history continue to resonate, a reminder of the fragile line between power and subjugation. The evolution of the litter in post-Roman societies reflects a profound transformation in social structures and cultural practices. Originally designed for the elite, this mode of transport began to adapt to the shifting dynamics of power and status. Local materials influenced construction, resulting in variations that spoke to the resources available in different regions. As urban centers emerged, litter designs became more ornate, embodying the aspirations of burgeoning merchant classes seeking to emulate the aristocracy. Rural areas maintained simpler forms, illustrating a dichotomy between urban sophistication and rural tradition. In these communities, the litters served practical purposes, often utilized for transporting goods and the elderly, rather than as symbols of power. Such adaptations reveal the changing societal values, where mobility became accessible to a broader population, transcending its initial exclusivity. Religious and ceremonial functions began to intertwine with the use of litters. They emerged as vehicles for transporting sacred relics during festivals, further cementing their place in communal identity. This shift marked a departure from their exclusive association with individual status, as they transformed into communal vessels carrying the weight of cultural heritage. Over time, the litter's role evolved, reflecting the nuanced interplay between tradition and innovation, power and accessibility in the landscape of post-Roman societies. Each iteration speaks to the resilience of human adaptation in the face of change. The profound significance of blood in Roman culture permeated various aspects of life, intertwining with notions of power, sacrifice, and identity. It represented not only vitality but also lineage, serving as a marker of one's place within the intricate social hierarchy. In this region, bloodlines dictated status, shaping political alliances and social privileges. Rituals often invoked the symbolism of blood, where sacrificial practices played a central role in appeasing deities and ensuring communal prosperity. The act of shedding blood was seen as a powerful offering, a means to forge connections with the divine. Such ceremonies underscored the delicate balance between life and death, a recurrent theme in the Roman psyche. Blood, in its raw essence, became a conduit through which individuals could confront mortality while affirming their existence. And the connection between blood and warfare further amplified its significance as legions marched into battle. The shedding of blood on the battlefield symbolized honor and heroism. This region witnessed countless conflicts, each one marked by the crimson stains of valor and sacrifice. Through these acts, the Romans cultivated a collective identity that embraced both the glory of victory and the sorrow of loss. In this way, blood transcended mere biology, evolving into a potent symbol of unity, conflict, and the enduring nature of the human experience. The ethical considerations surrounding punishment in Roman society were deeply intertwined with notions of justice and societal order. This complex system served not only as a means of maintaining authority, but also as a reflection of prevailing moral values. Punishment varied significantly, ranging from public humiliation to the ultimate penalty of death. Each method intended to convey a specific message about the consequences of transgression. In the eyes of the populace, these acts of punishment were often viewed through the lens of deterrence, aiming to instill a sense of fear while reinforcing adherence to societal norms. The spectacle of execution, for instance, became a public event, a grim reminder of the fate that awaited those who defied the law. It functioned as a tool of social cohesion, aligning the values of the community against transgressors. Philosophical discourse within Roman circles debated the morality of such practices, with some advocating for mercy and rehabilitation, while others emphasized retribution as a necessary aspect of justice. Such discussions revealed a tension between the desire for order and the recognition of individual dignity. This duality influenced legal reforms, shifting perspectives on punishment over time. Reflections on the Condemned reveal a complex interplay of moral philosophy and human emotion. Discussions surrounding ethics and justice often center on the nature of punishment itself, questioning its purpose and effectiveness. This region of thought delves into the implications of retribution versus rehabilitation, examining whether punitive measures serve to restore order or merely perpetuate cycles of violence. Philosophers from various eras have grappled with these concepts, weighing the inherent dignity of the individual against societal needs. The writings of thinkers such as Cesar Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham offer insights into utilitarianism, illustrating how consequences shape the moral landscape. They argued for systems that prioritize the greatest good, advocating for reforms that focus on prevention rather than retribution. Such discussions extend into the psychological realm, addressing the impact of societal judgment on those labeled as criminals. The stigma attached to the condemned often compounds their suffering, creating barriers to reintegration and fostering a sense of isolation. This phenomenon invites further inquiry into human empathy and the broader implications of justice on community cohesion. As reflections on the condemned continue to evolve, the pursuit of a balanced approach remains paramount, seeking to understand the complexities of human behavior while striving for a system that honors both accountability and compassion. The veil serves as a significant cultural artifact, revealing the intricate interplay between societal norms and historical narratives within ancient Roman civilization. Excavations in urban centers have unveiled remnants of this object, often fashioned from delicate materials, suggesting its role as a marker of status and ritualistic significance. Its presence in various burial sites indicates a complex understanding of life, death, and the afterlife, where it acted as both a physical and symbolic barrier. Artifacts found alongside the veil provide context, illuminating the societal roles those condemned to death occupied. Items such as pottery, coins, and personal effects reflect the diversity of experiences among these individuals. These findings contribute to a broader comprehension of how society viewed transgressions, encapsulating the tension between punishment and rehabilitation. In addition to material culture, inscriptions and writings from this period hint at prevailing attitudes toward justice and morality. Phrases etched into stone convey the weight of societal expectations, emphasizing the importance of maintaining order. The veil, in this context, transcends its physical form, embodying a collective consciousness grappling with the dualities of shame and redemption. These archaeological insights create a nuanced portrait of a civilization that, in its pursuit of order, simultaneously reveals the vulnerabilities inherent in the human condition. It becomes a testament to an enduring legacy, inviting ongoing dialogue about the morality of justice. The remnants of execution practices echo through time, their implications resonating within contemporary discussions on justice and morality. This legacy influences modern legal frameworks, prompting reflection on the balance between punishment and rehabilitation. In various nations, the death penalty remains a topic of heated debate, revealing the complexity of societal values and the human condition. Historical rituals, conducted in public spaces, served not only as punishment, but also as deterrence, a concept that persists in present-day punitive measures. The visual impact of these executions, designed to instill fear, has transitioned into a more privatized form of justice. The contrast between public spectacle and the sterile environments of today's prisons underscores a shift in societal attitudes toward retribution and mercy. Legal scholars examine these ancient practices to better understand the evolution of justice systems.
They analyze the psychological implications of capital punishment, investigating its effectiveness in preventing crime. The discourse surrounding these practices invites a broader inquiry into human rights, challenging societies to reconcile punishment with dignity. In fiction and media, the portrayal of Roman executions often serves to critique contemporary justice systems. Such representations offer a lens through which to explore the moral weight of decisions made in the name of law. As the discussion continues, the shadows of the past linger, shaping future trajectories in the quest for justice. The complexities of law and morality within the Roman Empire reveal a profound intersection that transcends mere governance. In this arena, legal systems were often instruments of power rather than expressions of justice. They served the elite while simultaneously invoking a sense of order among the populace. This region saw the emergence of a framework that, while sophisticated, frequently overlooked the humanity of the individuals it governed. The principles of law, while designed to maintain societal balance, frequently collided with moral considerations. Actions deemed justifiable by the state often reflected a stark detachment from the human experience. The condemned, their cries echoing through history, became symbols of a broader critique of societal values. These ruins of moral conflict prompt reflection on how power dynamics shape legal interpretations. The implications extend beyond the confines of ancient Rome, resonating with contemporary discussions about justice and humanity. The struggles faced by the condemned serve as reminders of the enduring quest for equitable treatment under the law. They highlight the urgent need for a legal framework that prioritizes compassion alongside order. In examining this intersection, a clearer understanding of the past emerges, prompting an exploration of how these ancient dilemmas continue to challenge modern society. The legacy of these struggles invites ongoing dialogue regarding the intersection of law, morality, and humanity.